and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we discuss women's issues, we celebrate the winners, and we try and find solutions for those who need us. In fact, it's fast becoming a support group for all over, not just women, but even men do tune in to our shows. But today we are going to be talking about the new age woman. Has she been empowered by changing society, by changing attitudes, and how her own attitude is changing towards old age perceptions and traditions that sometimes show down a woman? But not today's woman. She's fierce, she's independent, she knows what she wants, she knows how she wants to be received, and will pull no barriers in making sure that this is what she gets. Joining me on the show today is Shalini Singh. She runs a community for singles above 30. It's a service that helps people who are looking for serious relationships to meet, to interact. I have Mandakini Lama. She runs her own, she's a wedding planner. She runs her own agency. She's been doing this for about 14 years. She's planned some very high profile weddings, whether it's the Gujral's wedding, whether it is the Max group, the Dalmia group. So it's good to have you here, Mandakini. And Monisha Bhaskar, she's a former principal of Play School, but she's also a theatre artist and someone who's seen, I think, attitudes change over the years and is actually best placed to tell us how these attitudes are changing. But first, Shalini, you've been interacting a lot with today's women. You also have people above 30, which means, people, I guess, in our age group also who are looking for relationships. So have the attitudes of those even above 50 change, who may have been brought up a certain way, but now they're seeing the world is changing, so they are coming up with a different attitude as to what they want in life, how they want to be perceived. For instance, let me just take an example of the old age, fair is lovely, thin is lovely. Now, that ad jo aati thi, fair and lovely, wo to I think today's woman will just crumple it in the dustbin and throw it away.
So I think there are all kinds of women, but I think the women on our community, on And We Met, so it's a community of professionals and they're financially independent, right?
That's very important.
So they are very confident on who they are, and I actually speak to them, and I speak to about 15 every day, and I ask them that what is it that you're looking in for a partner, and they just, so what they are saying is that they feel very good about themselves and they're looking for for somebody who also feels good about in his own skin, whatever it is. So, and these women are of all kinds, of all skin colors, because as Indians, we are all of all body type, but they are extremely confident, looking after themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Mandakini, you've been planning weddings and all. So do you see, for instance, I've done shows where girls come and say, we don't believe in the concept, say, of Kanyadan, the old traditional patriarchal concept. Today's woman doesn't want that. Do you see that translating into how the wedding is, actually planned and the ceremonies carried out?
Well, actually, yeah, because, with time, over a decade, I've seen these brides, their perception is changing. They want to be as equal as men are. So, for instance, in one of your show about that Kanyadan instance, now they don't want to be given away like that. Of course, these are rituals and it's a part of our Indian culture. It is important. But for instance, now in many of my weddings, the Indian fairas have been translated in such a way as per Hindu rituals that it sometimes sounds like male are more dominating, like the woman has to do a lot of things
for
the man. But in our, as a wedding planner, we change that. We make it easy for the guests to, they feel like it's equal. So there are a lot of brides who want the fairas explanation, those 7 fairas, to be equal. It should not be that women are, are meant to do everything for the man. It should be equal, and the 7 circles of the Agni should mean equal to both of them. So a lot of things changing that way. They are not like inclined towards looking a certain way. They are very clear what they want to do, and all brides, like over a decade, I've seen them changing, their ideology changing. A lot has helped through social media and everything, the trends. So yeah, they are very confident in themselves, and that's what they're looking for.
And are today's weddings, are they planned, mostly are they the old style arranged marriages, websites, or do you see the girls have found their own matches through dating apps such as hers, dating services?
It's a mix of all. But overall, what I see as a wedding planner is what matters is that they find that comfort and love. Like, back in old times, I think women or the brides who were getting married, or even for that matter, grooms, they were a bit confused. They don't know what it was. They just wanted to get married because they were supposed to get married.
It's supposed to happen.
Now they want to get married because they know it's the right time, they want to, or they found someone perfect. I've gotten married someone who's above 40, who's in their 30s. Earlier it was maybe early 20s, and I used to find personally myself bride to be very not immature but new, or a little bit confused, or they haven't seen the world that way. But now I see a lot of brides, and for that matter grooms also, they are very confident, they know what they're doing, why they're getting married. So as long as I see that, and that comfort level is there, and moreover they find that love, I think that's what important.
Doesn't matter how they find it. Yeah.
I want to comment on the Kanyadan part, because what I am seeing in the community also, what the women are saying is that they're also looking for a partner and a family who doesn't restrict them from looking after their own parents.
The girls.
Correct.
The girls' parents.
Good point.
Correct.
Right? So I am seeing a lot of women talking about that, because earlier it was expected that
Yes.
when a woman leaves her birth home and goes to her married home, then she needs to forget her birth
Yeah.
home. In fact, there is this young lady in the community who has turned down proposals which have come via the traditional route, because they have told her that once they come, she goes into their family, she needs to forget. It's happening even today.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's an interesting point. So Monisha, you've seen, in fact, the changing attitude. The girls are becoming more assertive, and she made a good point about financially independent. That also helps the girl to assert herself. But the old rituals of fair is lovely, thin is, so you've also acted in theatre, and so how is that being portrayed in the arts also?
See, there was a time when like ads used to be fair and lovely.
Yes.
Everything was fairness oriented, Gori chitti chahiye, soni kudi means gori chitti kudi, that kind of an attitude, which I see over the years has changed a lot. One, that there is body positivity today. Women are more confident. It is more inclusive. Versus everything pretty used to be fair. Everything that was dark or towards the savli side, they said, was not considered pretty or beautiful. Now you see a whole lot of, whether it is advertisements, whether it is big brands that are including, there are wheatish complexions, there are darker complexions. To say that beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, and actually it does give confidence to everybody. In theatre earlier on, what we used to find is that even in school we used to do a Ram Leela play and all that. And in casting, when I used to say, okay, so and so can be Sita and so can, the teachers or even parents would turn around and say, nah, she's a little savli. Can Sita not be the fairest girl? And I was like, no, let me be the judge of that. Because just because, look at the eyes, look at the features, look at the confidence in this child. Do not always keep pulling somebody back to say that because physically you don't look a particular way, you are not capable. Now I see that entire thing to a very large extent in big cities is changing. Now you have, even in theatre we used to have that, if you're fair, you get the lead role. If you're not fair or you don't look a particular type, you may be a better performing artist, but you get, heroine ki saheli or niece of the, this thing, not that. And it used to really at that point in time, but I see the needle move. Also in weddings, I see one thing which has been very, very, a pleasant or a positive development is that the cost earlier on was all on the ladki wala side. आप 10 function करेंगे, आप बारात ऐसे receive करेंगे, आप मिलनी में gold गिनी देंगे. So there were these very subtle demands being put forth. Now I see the weddings are becoming smaller because the girls are speaking up, and it's a joint effort. So if there are two things, if there are two functions, then why is it that the girl side should be bearing the entire thing?
Right.
These changes are happening with the kind of jewelry and stuff that you made the girl's father spend. I mean, there have been cases where, they've had to either sell land or they've had to take a loan. All that now I see, at least in big cities, it's passe in a lot of places. And because of social media, it really helps because this goes on to social media. So in villages or B-class cities, C-class cities, they're also looking at this and changing that. So I see the change happening. I see the confidence coming up, and I think it's very good. Like she said, love is what matters. Your compatibility matters. In fact, Akshay Kumar and Twinkle, they were talking in one thing, and she said, मैंने पत्री नहीं मिलाई, मैंने medical history मिला के देखी, और मैंने हमारी compatibility देखी, and that is how it should be.
You interacted a lot with people who are, looking for serious relationships. I like that because it doesn't have to end up in marriage. It can be just a serious,
It could be, so they're looking for a committed relationship, and a commitment could be marriage, live-in or companionship, which I think are labels to a committed relationship.
Do they also or do you have a column of looks, or do they ask when you're trying to match someone, when people are describing themselves
On AnviMed?
Hang on, yeah. When people are describing themselves on AnviMed, do they actually talk about the way they look, or everybody just keeps that aside and talks about their personalities?
So Priya, we don't even ask for height. We don't ask body type. We don't ask any of this when we are collecting data. In fact, we are asking them about how do you define privilege. We ask them, tell us about your growing up years. And is there anything else that you'd like to talk about yourself? So it could be fun facts, who you are. That is what. And in fact, in the community, we don't even have photographs.
Oh, that's really interesting.
It is blowing my mind off the way people are meeting and interacting. Photographs are important. I am not denying that. But and it may be possible that when you look at someone, but you are getting to, but they're taking time to read about who you are or know who you are versus looking at your physicality and just moving you aside. Right? So that is, so like for example, what happened yesterday, so there was some banter going on in the community. This community is currently on WhatsApp, so there was some discussion going on. And there's a lady who asked to be introduced to a gentleman, and she actually wrote in a message to us that I was only looking for somebody I was looking for a Kannadiga. But I have been following the way this person is communicating. She has seen his video interaction, and she wanted an introduction. She said, I am breaking my own must-have. So this is what's coming out of the community.
This social media interaction, girls, whether it is through dating apps or whatever, there seems to be a more progressive. Do you see when the brides are coming? Do they come, and also the way they're getting married? Do they want, you talked about the traditions, but the look, the clothes.
Yeah. Well, of course, a lot of influence is there from social media for
She's laughing,
sure.
huh?
When we start planning a wedding, we also ask them to give us inspiration. And in fact, social media is a good portal for them to look for inspiration, or else where else they could look, because in a wedding, there's so many people, you hardly get a chance to see everything with that nitty-gritty. And thanks to these social media platforms and everything, where bride and groom, they have a vision, they can visualize.
But do they say, I know there are a lot of these destination weddings and all that, but do they also want to break from tradition in terms of, you talked about the rituals per se, but in terms of, the way they are looking, where they are dressing, do they want to do away with it? Because usually the lehengas are one-time wear, shaadi ka lehenga jo hota hai wo, but now people want a more modern ensemble which they can even wear for other occasions.
Yeah, that has also changed a lot, and there's so many designers out there now, because back in those days there weren't that many.
Correct.
So there's so many options. A lot of bride has gone out of wearing red lehengas now. You see them wearing all colors. There's so many brides who are comfortable in saris and what they want to wear, and they're very mindful about they want to wear that again and again. So yes, that change is there for sure. Yeah.
And you wanted to comment on the
Yeah,
lehenga?
in fact, there is somebody very well known to me. When his daughter decided to get married, their daughter decided to get married, she wore a working suit like you're wearing.
Yeah, I know her.
And
Yes,
I won't
did
take the name.
Brothers
So,
wedding
and she had the dupatta, but she wore the
yes.
entire suit, and she said, I don't want to spend on that outfit because I will not wear it. The suit that I'm wearing, which was new according to her, she said, I will wear it again and again. You have a lot of brides who are now wearing, those
So she wore a
very
pantsuit
fancy.
for
She
a
wore
wedding.
a pantsuit like
I
hers.
love it. The bride wears pants.
Because it was a nice teal blue.
Yes.
That's the thing she did. She wore the dupatta over it for the rituals. But she says, this is the way I want to be. So it was such a welcome change, thinking out of the box, you think out of. Another thing that one is seeing is that they're wearing comfortable footwear. So they're wearing those keds, which are,
Yes.
with zari, gota and everything and all that.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable footwear versus heels and back-breaking,
Stilettos,
So,
yeah.
stilettos, so-
bride is on her feet the whole time. We're going to take a break. We're going to keep the conversation going, so stay with us, but a quick break. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. Today we're taking a look at the new age woman in terms of relationships, in terms of weddings, or in terms of just looking for someone to spend her life with. One quick question to you also is there a gap between what the parents want and what the bride wants and the groom wants, and how do you bridge that gap?
I think that's where we wedding planner come into.
You're the mediator.
Come into the show where we have to bring everyone on the same page. Of course, it's there, but recently, like there's a wedding we are doing where that parent's first child, the daughter, she got married as per the Indian tradition, and that's what she wanted. But the second child wanted to do everything on her own terms. So this time the parents have taken a back seat. Like obviously they have to sign the bills and all, but yeah, visually and that way everything the women and for that matter the groom also, the bride and groom have taken that step. That they want to enjoy the wedding, of course, because back in those times they are not really get to enjoy also, and do things as per their thing. So yes, and they do understand each other's requirement in terms of what is a part of tradition and what is not required. Like in one of your previous episode also, the other wedding planners said that the shagans and all are now have gone aside. It's not a part of showing to the world. Yes, what is important, if you are giving something to other person out of love, you do give that, but you don't have to show it to the world or to anyone display it. Yeah. So the traditions are still there, and like one of the most important tradition without which the wedding won't happen is the wedding ceremony. And back in those time, it used to be a 4 hours or 3 hours if you do it properly.
This is the age of Instagram, 2-minute mind
yes,
space.
Yes, so we do make like every bride, every groom, they can't sit more than 40 minutes, and I think it's also too much for anyone to sit for over an hour over a wedding ceremony. So we do complete the ceremony, but we are trying to bring these changes and
but are there any new vows that the bride has put in, or I don't know, that's a very Western concept, but any new conditions that if it's just like you said, it's not just the man will do all the receiving, but you also do the receiving to me in return.
Yes, for that matter, changing those meaning only was the biggest condition that the bride is putting, that it's not that the bride
or
has
like you said, look after my
that.
parents also.
No, but I think the conditions, so in the West they say it when they get married.
Yeah.
But I think here, what the individuals who want to enter the committed relationship talk about it, and obviously if they align in their ask and give, then only they enter a committed relationship, or the relationship will not work.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But taking this forward, do you see, Monisha, in terms of kids, we talk about body shaming, body positivity. Is that something that starts with the parents, or are parents also now becoming more encouraging towards the kids, or do you still say parents, what dark hair, so don't go in the sun, these old things we heard?
No, it's changing. I've seen it change actually, because from grandmothers saying ये तो सांवली है, इसको ना वो दूसरी वाली है, इसको उपटन लगाओ, इसके मुंह पे talcum powder लगाओ जब बाहर जाती है, those kind of things कि कुछ भी करो, थोड़ा एक टोन इसका गोरा करो. From that to now, when they actually don't pass such comments, there are no judgments. There are girls who are actually coming out and being attractive. Parents are proud of them. There is no such statement, there is, whether you see Sushmita Sen, who has, who was on the Savli side, whether you see Priyanka Chopra, whether you see so many of them who are leading this from the front. So people are actually understanding that the color of your skin does not show your beauty. Correct. It is just the way it is.
I'd like to comment here that whilst there are people who are getting progressive and acceptance, there are a lot of people who do not accept and are still stuck on how you should look. Because even on, I see in the community also, right, like where the women say, I want a tall man. And then I talk to them and I say, if he checks all your boxes, and if he's as tall as you or slightly shorter, than you, how does it matter? Because end of the day, you're looking at how you're going to spend time with them. Yeah. So whilst I think these societal conditioning is still there, and it's the individual themselves. So though the environment may be changing, but I think if I am dark and I've heard so much about being fair, I think I am overthinking also. And I am not feeling good about myself.
Correct.
So it has, yeah. So I think that also needs to be looked into, that how much of self-reflection do I do?
And in terms of body positivity, who decides that size 0 is normal? We did a show like that. We even had, people, there's a girl on social media influencer called herself the plus girl. She's very proud, it may be because of medical reason, then it's a separate issue. But, apart from that, if you are what you are at the end of the day, and
Acceptance is very important. You have to accept yourself the way you are. That is where confidence comes from. And acceptance at home is very, very, very necessary, because when you are a little child, when you're a little girl or a little boy, it's what you hear at home. If you're always
Yes.
being told in your mind कि तुम सावले हो या तुम ऐसे हो या तुम वैसे हो, so it does hit your confidence. That's why I'm saying I see a lot of parents, grandparents now who have stopped saying all this, who have stopped saying तुम मोटे हो, पतले हो, तुम लंबे हो, तुम छोटे हो, तुम काले हो, तुम गोरे हो. All that, I see a lot of change happening in Delhi and in cities around me. I went to Bombay recently. Bombay has always been very different like that.
Yeah.
They don't comment. But I see the change happen. Every 10 years in a decade, they say, it moves the needle. So definitely the needle has moved.
Yes, the
needle has moved.
for sure.
My cook went to his village recently. He was getting his son married. So I asked him, I said, तो photo दिखाओ जो लड़की की and all that. So he said, जी बड़ी अच्छी बड़ी सुंदर है, वो एक दूसरे को जानते हो शादी. And she was on the Savli side and all that. But it was such a pleasant thing for him to not comment that way and
Yeah.
say ना जी लड़की तो अच्छी है, थोड़ी सांवली है, लेकिन none of that.
No,
So
no.
it is reaching villages. I said, very good. I mean, if this is how it's going, the
Correct.
mindset, which is really nice.
The other question is dowry. Why should the woman have to pay? Has that? I mean, I know a lot of these deals are done behind doors, so you won't get to know. But do you see that at least the obvious demands for dowry decreasing, or at least people now know enough to that that is something that is, they're ashamed. They should be ashamed of asking.
Yes.
So at least publicly, तो अब नहीं कर रहे हैं.
Yeah, well, if you're not asking directly, that's for sure is there. But other way around, it's still there. It depends on person to person, that way. And it is still there. I'm not going to say it's not there.
I'm sure it is still there. Yeah.
Yeah, but one of my core reason also was into wedding planning was not to pick such wedding. There was a time over a decade, once there was a time there was such wedding. I used to see these traditions and rituals, and I was feeling bad about it. How can I, being a woman, promote this? I myself is not married right now. I would not want my parents to do this. And when I'm leading in a profession and trying to be an independent woman, I would love to get those women get married who are independent too. And in the past 10 years, I've seen that changing, and these are independent women. Whatever the parents are giving is giving out of love. But like Shalini said correctly, that now the brides have that sense, that assurance of that, they can go back to their own home as well. Back in those dowry system, it
Yeah.
was like the parents of the bride has given everything. Now you're meant to be there. You cannot come back. The society was such, the pressure was such, the women they didn't have any option of going back. Now I see, like when we do vidais or when we do these weddings, the bride has that assurance, I have the option of going back. I have the option of separating if I want
Yeah, the
to,
brides
if
have
it's
stopped
not
crying
working.
also, and the families
True
have
that.
stopped, because they've enjoyed
Brides
it.
have stopped crying.
It's very difficult to make them cry.
No, because earlier you would cry.
Play some Kishore Kumar songs.
I do.
You do that?
Once it didn't work out, but then I have a whole set list of songs that try to make people cry.
Yeah, but they don't need to cry, right? Because they are starting a new life,
Yes.
and the family stays the family.
Exactly.
Earlier, it was different because
Yeah.
even the mothers and the parents knew that they're actually giving their daughter,
That's
who's
right.
20 years
Yes.
old, to another family, hoping that she is looked after,
Yeah.
or she's happy rather
Correct.
than And now I think women, so it's about two families coming
Yes,
together
yes.
versus my family and your family.
But
Very well
that
put.
shift is a very big shift in our society, which I feel really happy
And I think that's
about.
because women are becoming independent.
Absolutely, yeah.
So in the write-ups that people they also is there a column where you say what are you looking for, and if there is, then what are the guys looking for in women today?
I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I think there, I think women have a longer list than men.
Oh, I like that. Women always have a longer list.
Finally.
Women and lists.
Finally, women can have lists.
No, but yeah,
Very good.
but I think if I look at a very base level, I think the men really want the woman who comes into their lives to get along with his family. I think that's what they're looking for. And I think the woman is looking for respect. I think these are very base level. Of course, the man's also looking for respect, but I think this is a very basic thing. But I think if you both are financially independent and you're sure of what you want, I think both of them are looking for, most of them, at least on And We Met, that I will be me, you be you, and then we'll be together.
Wow.
Right? But there are also women who say, I want the man to open the door for me. So there are all kinds of people. See, earlier, so there are people who say, I want my man to change the bulb. So that is also there. Plus, there are, so all kinds is happening now.
So
yeah, it's a mix.
It's a mix. It's a time, I think, where women are also looking to redefine themselves, and at least they are making their own lists, as she says, rather than having the list handed down from generations with all its, colors and traditional hues. But thank you all for this conversation, and hope to meet you again soon and do another conversation like this. But for now, thank you for watching this show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.